From a lofty perch, the sprawling castle city of Lindrunga reveals itself, a voice pondering if there are alternative escorts for their merchant. Uriel, an adventurer with spiky hair, notices another group, observing they seem to be D-rank mages. Ranga scoffs at the low-tier adventurers, claiming it's acceptable as long as they don't interfere. The topic shifts to a rumor about a newcomer who achieved D rank in just a month, leaving Ranga stunned. As they stroll, one questions the truth of the rumor, while another dismisses it as a blatant falsehood. Darius the Archer finds the tale hard to believe, noting it typically takes 20 quests to move up from G rank. She adds that the supposed prodigy completed all those quests on the very day of his registration. Ranga yells in disbelief, just as a new voice inquires if they are the party known as Silver Wolf's Roar. A stout, well-dressed man introduces himself as Mario, their client, expressing gratitude for their assistance. Whirl presents his C-rank party, introducing himself as the swordsman alongside Darius the Archer and Ranga the warrior. A soft, polite voice interjects, excusing themselves, capturing the attention of the seasoned adventurers. A young boy with two-toned hair introduces himself as Ko, a deranked mage assigned to the escort mission. Ranga and Darius are taken aback, realizing this must be the boy from the impossible rumors. Oral stares at the unassuming child, his expression a mix of shock and confusion. Mario cheerfully confirms that Ku is indeed part of their team for the escort to Rundatown. Ku bows politely, requesting their cooperation, leaving a stammering Yorl at a loss for words. Whirl thinks to himself that he expected a monster, not this well-mannered child. Ku looks up, a hint of worry in his eyes, questioning if he appears too young to be a dependable escort. With a professional slip, Ku confirms everyone is accounted for and suggests they should set off. A large wagon wheel begins to rotate, signaling the start of their journey from the bustling city. The party's two wagons rumble through a desolate, rocky terrain as Mario explains the mission. He gestures to the cargo, warning them that the items are delicate and require careful handling. Mario details the plan: a half-day trek to Rundatown, an overnight stay, and a return the following morning. He formally requests their protection for himself, his cargo, and his bearded companion, Maru. The muscular Ranga questions the need for so many guards, boasting that he alone would suffice. Mario's demeanor shifts to serious as he explains that usually 2 guards would be enough, but things have changed. Maru elaborates, mentioning concerning rumors of a medium-sized bandit group that has become active nearby. Ranga remains unimpressed by the threat, scoffing at the mere mention of bandits. Ko suddenly gasps, his attention caught by something unseen. Maru asks the boy what's the matter. With childlike enthusiasm, he points to the sky, urging everyone to look at the large bird soaring above. A glint of hunger appears in Ku's eyes as he muses that the bird would taste great if roasted. Ranga scoffs at the energetic yet simple-minded kid, while Mario chuckles, entertained by his remark. After a while, the tiled rooftops of their destination, the nearby town of Runda, come into sight. Upon arrival, Mario and Maru announce they are off to meet their business associates. Mario turns to speak to Ku, only to discover the boy has vanished, shocking the adventurers. Whirl looks around in irritation, wondering where the boy could have disappeared to so quickly. He spots Ko standing completely still, fixated on the window of a nearby general store. Ranga strides over, angrily demanding to know what he thinks he's doing. Ku simply points to the store sign, commenting that it looks like a nice general store. He then cheerfully asks if they can go inside, leaving a frustrated Ranga utterly speechless. Oral sternly reminds Ku that they are on an escort mission for Mario, not a shopping excursion. Mario, overhearing the ruckus, calmly tells Earl that it's fine and they can continue. He decides that 2 guards are sufficient within the town and asks Ranga and Darius to join him. He then tasks a stunned Ural and a delighted Ko with finding an inn for the night. Ranga is furious that the odd kid is getting his way, while Ku is excited about the new plan. Mario informs them he will return in the evening and they can all regroup later. As Mario's group departs, Ranga shouts in protest, feeling completely sidelined and overlooked. Whirl is left looking thoroughly drained and frustrated by the chaotic turn of events. Ku turns to him with a bright, innocent grin, asking if they can finally enter the store now. Later that evening, cheerful sounds of celebration echo from the inn they discovered. The whole crew is assembled, with Mario cheerfully declaring his business venture was a huge triumph. Darius inquires if Ural enjoyed his time with Ko, but Ural just gripes about the boy's odd antics. He reminisces about the afternoon, remembering how the cow simply read books and wandered aimlessly. Earl mutters that he was the one who had to locate the inn, questioning Ko's purpose for the journey. Darius speculates that he was probably just completing the escort quest needed for rank advancement. Whirl pinches his nose, finding the notion of co-escorting anyone utterly ridiculous. At a nearby table, Mario mentions the rumor about the cow's swift rank increase, while Ko keeps eating. Coat samples his dish, finding the taste a bit too subtle and missing something. Mario spots Ko shaking a small container over his meal and curiously asks what it contains. Ku explains it's kosho, or pepper, leaving Mario utterly baffled. The members of Silver Wolf's Roar observe, puzzled about this peculiar kosho seasoning. A close-up reveals Ko sprinkling the dark powder from the shaker onto his food. He takes a big bite, hoping the unfamiliar spice will enhance the dish's flavor. He hums in delight, confirming the taste has indeed improved, piquing the other's interest. Oral, always cautious, quickly cautions Mario against consuming such a strange and unfamiliar substance. Mario disregards the warning, takes a bite, and his eyes widen as he exclaims, "It's delicious!" He grabs the cow, frantically asking what this amazing spice is. Ku calmly states it's pepper. When asked about its origin, Ku explains he found the berries in the forest and dried them himself. Mario's merchant instincts kick in, and he eagerly asks if Ku can gather more for him. He offers to submit an official guild request for the spice, and Ko readily accepts the task. Renga and Yoro watch with suspicion, wondering if something that tastes this good could be toxic. His curiosity piqued, Renga asks Ko if they can sample some too, and Ko happily agrees. From the inn's roof, the adventurers' voices can be heard, exclaiming how tasty the pepper is. Ko claims he has plenty, and to everyone's astonishment, summons a full bottle using storage magic. Maru and Mario Sternow realize the boy can wield the incredibly rare and useful storage magic. Ko asks Mario if he can't use it, thinking it's a common skill among merchants, but Mario confirms he can't. Ku is genuinely taken aback, noting that it seems like such a handy skill to possess. Maru gently scolds the boy, explaining that storage magic isn't something one can just learn. He clarifies that it's an innate ability one is born with, which is why many who have it become merchants. Whirl snaps at Ku, telling him not to speak so lightly about acquiring powerful magic. Who ponders for a moment, reflecting on Ural's words before offering a quiet reply. He believes it can be learned, revealing he only mastered it a year or two ago, shocking the others. A frantic Mario pleads with Ku to teach him the method, promising a handsome reward, and Ku agrees. The adventurers eagerly ask if they can learn too, and Ku once again agrees without hesitation. Oral stares intently at the boy, feeling an overwhelming, unsettling pressure radiating from him. Who breaks the tension by casually asking if anyone wants to try the soy sauce or mayonnaise he also has. The next morning, a wagon wheel turns as you reflect on the previous night's chaotic excitement. Darius observes that she and Renga have completely warmed up to Ku, who sits beside them reading a book. Mario comments to Ural that it's unusual for a mage to so freely offer to teach storage magic. Uriel remains cautious, warning Mario not to get his hopes up, as there's no guarantee it will work. Mario glances at Ural, sensing his friend's lingering skepticism and concern. Burl wonders to himself what it is about Ko that unsettles him so much. He muses that the boy is still young, with a childlike way of speaking and behaving. Darius points out that they only met him yesterday, so it's natural they don't fully understand him yet. Mario asserts with complete conviction that he doesn't believe for a second that Ku is a bad person. Oral, taken aback by his certainty, asks him what grounds this unwavering confidence. Mario simply laughs it off, attributing it to a merchant's intuition, a gut feeling he's learned to trust. As they converse, Ku suddenly looks up from his book, senses tingling as if sensing an unseen danger. Oral and Dares immediately notice his abrupt change in demeanor and ask him what's wrong. Who shouts for them to halt, pointing ahead and warning that people are hiding among the rocks. Whirl's expression twists in disbelief as he exclaims, "What?" The bandit chief lets out a menacing laugh, declaring it's too late. He and his crew step forward, scoffing at the sight of a mere child. The leader sarcastically praises them for finally catching on to the trap. Whirl stands firm in front of his team, sword drawn and poised. He grimly recognizes the assailants as the notorious local bandits. Mario and Maru are paralyzed with fear, realizing the terrifying tales were true. Ku watches the chaos unfold, his expression calm and analytical. Oral spins around, yelling at Cow to defend the merchants at all costs. The bandit leader demands they hand over their goods and gear to save their lives. World scoffs at the hollow threat, refusing to buy into the deception. A wild-haired female bandit emits a chilling scream, "Die!" World deflects her strike, then roars for his allies to charge. He calls for Darius and Ranga to move, and Ranga bellows in agreement. The trio from Silver Wolf's roar crashes into the bandit ranks. The female bandit cackles wildly, mocking them for their disadvantage. She breaks through the line, leaping toward the wagon as Yerril warns them. Ku remains perfectly still, observing the frenzied attacker approach. With a savage scream, the bandit swings her weapon down at the boy. A brilliant flash erupts from Ko, forcefully repelling the strike. Earl can only let out a stunned sound of disbelief at the scene. Ranga and Darius are equally astonished, questioning what just transpired. The bandit is hurled backward, her sword nearly shattering from the force. Earl recognizes the advanced magic, a barrier strong enough to break steel. Surrounded by a fiery aura, Ku warns her not to approach with a weapon. He unleashes a surge of magical energy, instantly vaporizing the bandit. As she disintegrates, he coolly mentions he's holding the book he bought yesterday. He lands softly, asking the stunned merchants what to do about the wounded. Mario and Maru stare in disbelief, questioning if the boy really did all that. The remaining bandits are gripped by fear, recognizing the might of his fire magic. The furious bandit leader commands his men to abandon the cargo and eliminate the boy. The adventurers brace themselves as the entire bandit horde charges forward. Hao appears before them, politely requesting a moment of their attention. He raises his book, explaining his eagerness to return to reading. He inquires if he can handle the bandits alone to finish things quickly. Darius and Ranga are left speechless, questioning what on earth he means. The bandit leader screams not to underestimate them, insisting they spare no children. Dozens of razor-sharp black energy slashes erupt from Ku's position. The members of Silver Wolf's roar can only watch in sheer terror. Mario and Maru share the same horrified, disbelieving expression. The devastating web of magical energy crisscrosses the entire battlefield. Ku calmly turns his head, asking if someone had spoken. He glances at the groaning bandits, pondering what to do with them. He explains to Mario that he attacked non-lethally, so they all remain alive. Mario suggests they leave them tied up, as they won't be moving anytime soon. He proposes they call the Lindrunga soldiers to come and take them away. Ku agrees cheerfully, though he still appears to be just an ordinary kid. And I reflect on the thought of a terrifying mage who reached D rank in a month. World takes a determined step forward, now certain of one thing. He approaches Ku, stating that he saved all of them, not just the merchants. World beams with a genuine smile, astonished that everyone is safe. He expresses heartfelt gratitude to Cow, who can only utter Ural's name in shock. Darius shouts that his D rank is a fabrication, doubting his chantless abilities. You're about to pose the burning question on everyone's lips. Who is he? Who appears deep in thought, contemplating how to tackle such a tricky question. He starts to speak, while his friends and the merchants listen closely. With a cheerful grin, he simply introduces himself as Ku. He adds that he's an adventurer, a mage, and a former salaryman. Oral stutters in confusion, but Ko brushes it off as a long story. The scene shifts back to a contemporary building, Japan's Shinjuku Station. Ku stands on the train platform, relieved to finally enjoy a day off. He daydreams about solo camping when his inebriated boss stumbles up behind him. The boss drunkenly claims he's not done drinking for the night. Furious at Kuhi's refusal, the boss shoves him hard from behind. Ku stumbles back, his feet finding only empty air off the platform. His eyes widen in pure horror as he realizes he's falling. His last fragmented thought is that he's about to meet his end. He finds himself plummeting through an endless, cloudy abyss, his briefcase beside him. Completely baffled by the surreal situation, he wonders what's going on. An ethereal voice calls his name, confirming that he has indeed perished. As an apology, the voice invites him to the world it oversees. It explains that his body will be rejuvenated for this new magical realm. He's granted mastery over all 6 elements and non-elemental magic. As a bonus, he's also bestowed with the rare and potent time-space magic. His worldly belongings are swapped for an adventurer's outfit and a backpack. The voice instructs him to venture forth into its world. He lands with a jarring thud on the ground of this unfamiliar realm. He collapses, gasping for air after the abrupt and violent shift. He touches his face, eyes wide with shock and utter bewilderment. The memory fades as Ku awakens in a simple bed, questioning what just occurred. He scans the room, recognizing it as a place he's been before. He sits up, wondering if it was all a dream and why he recalls the past. He surveys the room, a quiet realization beginning to dawn on him. Looking out the window, he notes it's been 3 years since he arrived. The scene transitions to the Grand Adventurers Guild in the city of Lindrunga. Kao stands before the quest board, contemplating which job to take today. Mary, the guild receptionist, approaches him with a bright greeting. She mentions hearing all about the bandit incident from a thankful Mario. She tells him that Mario has already submitted 2 specific requests just for him. One request involves collecting kosho, while the other is for a magic lecture. Ku is puzzled that the inhabitants of this world are unaware of Pepper. He accepts both requests without a second thought, surprising Mary. He confidently asserts that locating the pepper will be a breeze today. A close-up of his eyes reveals a flicker of deep contemplation. He reflects on the lecture, realizing it will be his first time teaching. He wonders about the best approach and if Mario even possesses magical talent. He resolves to return to his starting point to think things through properly. He utters the word teleport, vanishing in a flash of light before a stunned Mary. Mary stares at the empty space, questioning who Ku truly is. Kao reappears instantly in a forest clearing before his self-built retreat. A memory emerges, and he gazes on with a hint of surprise. Before his secluded dwelling, he reflects on how long it's been since he last came here. Teleportation is handy, he thinks, but the local inn's beds are far more comfortable. Curious if anything here could assist with Mario's lecture, he decides to investigate. This haven, he remembers, is where he first discovered his self-taught magic. The thought catapults him back to the start, his bewildering arrival. His eyes widen in shock, capturing the jarring reality of his sudden reincarnation. He stood in a strange clearing, bewildered, questioning the nature of this impossible place. Surveying his surroundings, he noticed trees laden with bizarre, unfamiliar fruits. Other plants bore elongated vegetables completely alien to him. The ground was utterly foreign, with garlic and potato-like plants sprouting from trees. He gazed at the surreal scene, pondering what kind of place this could possibly be. He recalled the ethereal voice's words, an invitation to this world as an apology. He wondered who the voice belonged to, suspecting it might have been a deity. He pieced together the ridiculous truth. A divine error led to his death and this predicament. Realizing further contemplation was futile, he shifted his focus to his next steps. Noticing the abundance of flora, he concluded he wouldn't face starvation. As he scanned the area, an incredible thought suddenly struck him. He resolved that his initial task would be to explore and understand this new world. The sun bathed the dense alien forest that had become his new reality. He gasped for breath, overwhelmed by the shock of his new existence. Crouching low, he noticed an eerie silence in the forest, devoid of animal sounds. He contemplated his basic needs, pondering how he would even manage a bath. Then he recalled the divine gift, an affinity for all 6 major magical attributes. With a small, hopeful chuckle, he decided it was time to test his newfound abilities. He dramatically extended his hand, commanding water to manifest. A single, feeble drop appeared and fell, leaving him utterly astonished. He wondered if his mental image of the spell simply lacked strength. He tried again, calling for water, his focus sharpening with each attempt. Once more he summoned water, his brow furrowed in intense concentration. He strained with all his might, gritting his teeth to produce more than a drop. Staring at his empty palm, he questioned if this was truly what magic felt like. Completely drained, he collapsed to the ground, pondering his next move. Lying on his back, he gazed up at the canopy, lost in quiet reflection. As he lay there, a powerful sense of determination began to take shape. He resolved that his special magic training would commence the following day. On the second day, his efforts resulted in only a series of faint dripping sounds. He practiced late into the night, his frustrated calls for water echoing beneath the stars. 3 days later, his persistence bore fruit as he conjured a stable sphere of water. Water dripped from his hand, a tangible sign of his first genuine success. He stared at his hand in awe, astonished by the power he now wielded. He marveled at the 10-centimeter sphere, knowing he could enlarge it with practice. He then realized he would also require fire for cooking and light during the dark nights. He recalled all the powers bestowed upon him, the 6 elements, non-elemental, and time. With renewed determination, he vowed to master every single ability granted by the deity. He began his fire training, creating a tiny, sputtering flame on his fingertip. He focused intently, concentrating on the small, flickering spark of magical energy. Night fell again, the stars twinkling above his solitary training ground. Soon, he could conjure a strong, roaring flame in the palm of his hand. He summoned a powerful gust of wind, feeling the raw energy surge through him. He commanded the ground to rise, forming a sturdy rock pillar from the earth. He illuminated the suffocating darkness with a radiant orb of pure light. He concentrated on non-elemental magic, successfully crafting an invisible barrier. The barrier splintered as he experimented with manipulating its shape. A smile spread across his face. This barrier opened up new possibilities. He envisioned creating a tub with the barrier, filling it with enchanted hot water. He sighed in utter bliss, relishing a hot soak in his magically conjured tub. As he strolled through the clearing, something unusual caught his eye at the edge. He approached a glimmering, invisible wall, curious about this strange membrane. Reaching out, he touched it, sensing a peculiar humming resistance. His eyes widened in disbelief as he grasped the true essence of his sanctuary. A sudden bone-chilling roar from beyond the wall froze him in his tracks. A monstrous, vaguely human-like figure emerged just beyond the barrier. He screamed in sheer terror at the horrifying sight before him. His frantic cry echoed through the otherwise tranquil clearing. A gigantic, ferocious bear roared at him from just beyond the invisible shield. He gazed at the shimmering wall, watching the beast rage, unable to reach him. In a surge of panic, he scrambled backward, away from the clearing's edge. He collapsed onto the ground, breathing heavily from the terrifying encounter. Gasping for breath, he felt immense relief that the barrier had held against the creature. He now understood the barrier was a safe haven, keeping forest creatures at bay. He hesitated, a new and perilous idea beginning to take shape in his mind. He realized there were creatures outside the barrier he might be able to conquer. Night descended once more, stars twinkling down on his solitary, protected abode. He decided to test the waters, cautiously poking his head outside the barrier. His experiment yielded immediate results, his eyes widening in alarm and thrill. A massive, tusked boar demon appeared, drawn by his sudden presence. He steeled himself, wondering if he could triumph in his first real battle. As the beast charged, he swiftly cast earth magic, creating a deep pit. With the beast trapped in the hole, he quickly prepared for his next strike. He summoned water to fill the pit, then commanded it to freeze solid. The boar found itself encased in ice, looking up in confusion at its sudden fate. He observed from the pit's edge, convinced he had successfully captured the beast. A sudden loud crack from the ice made him glance back in alarm. The boar roared in fury, shattering the ice from within with its body heat. He realized the beast wielded fire magic and knew he had to act fast. He attempted to freeze it again, but the creature was still alive and thrashing. He was astonished that the beast survived his powerful combination attack. Recognizing its resilience, he knew he needed a more decisive finishing move. After the battle, he stood before the aftermath, a large crater in the ground. The massive boar demon lay defeated, its glowing eyes now dark and lifeless. Later, he roasted large cuts of meat from his kill over a crackling campfire. He devoured the meat hungrily, savoring the taste of his hard-won victory. As he ate, he bit down on something hard, thinking it was merely a bone. He spat the unexpected object into his hand to examine what it was. He held a small, glowing stone, pondering what this peculiar item could be. He decided to use his appraisal skill to identify the mysterious stone. His eyes glowed with power as the skill activated, analyzing the object. A screen appeared, revealing it as a rare S+ ranked multi-attribute magic stone. The scene shifts, showcasing the lush primordial forest where his new life began. Ku channels his magic to gather wood, realizing he lacks metal for standard hinges. Before his finished house, he feels content, knowing it's just right for one. A light sparkles in his eyes as he contemplates his enhanced lifestyle. With his new freedom, he resolves to explore the realm of storage magic. Time drags on, and a close-up reveals Ku's face, now marked by deep boredom. He paces his porch, pondering why everything has turned so monotonous. He once thought constructing a house was a major feat, but now he feels drained. The realization strikes him, and he screams in panic. 3 years of solitude. He reflects on his own strength, knowing he could easily hunt a wyvern now. He glances at a towering stack of magic stones, admitting he hasn't even been collecting. Gazing at his hoard, he understands his life has become a dull cycle of hunting. Frustration boils over. He yearns to break free and finally embark on an adventure. His outburst subsides, leaving him in silence, worn out by his isolation. With a deep sigh, he contemplates his plans for the day as he approaches the door. He decides to step outside for now, but halts in shock at the entrance. A stunning horned griffin stands just outside, its gaze fixed on him. Ku's expression twists in disbelief as he recognizes the legendary creature. He identifies it as a griffin, struggling to accept the reality before him. He wonders how it managed to breach his supposedly secure safe zone. The griffin's voice resonates in his mind, asking if the human can hear its thoughts. Ku is bewildered as the creature refers to him as master and questions his presence. He counters that the inquiry should be his, as a human shouldn't be here. The griffin's voice thunders, declaring this place a divine sanctuary. Ku whispers the words, divine sanctuary, his mind spinning with disbelief. The creature affirms it, again asking why he is in this sacred location. Ku is left utterly speechless by this astonishing, world-altering revelation. The griffin explains it serves as a familiar, asking if Code knows of its divine master. It confirms its role as a familiar of the god, leaving Ku even more astonished. The creature inquires about his loneliness, and Ku admits to feeling very isolated. Feeling sympathy for him, the griffin offers to lead him to a human city. Chao stands in stunned silence, his eyes wide with newfound hope. He incredulously asks if there are really other humans in this world. The creature explains that its detection magic failed due to the city's distance. Overwhelmed with emotion, Ku eagerly agrees to the griffin's offer to guide him. The griffin then reveals that Ku can teleport using his S+ rank magic stones. Ku is astonished to discover he can teleport back to a sanctuary from anywhere. Back in the present, he reflects that without this encounter, he might have been trapped forever. A close-up of his eye reveals a sudden, enlightening realization hitting him. He panics anew, having completely forgotten about Mario's earlier request. He worries that he has nothing ready for the lecture or the pepper delivery. The following day, at a large building, a cheerful voice calls out to him. Mario warmly greets Cow, thrilled to receive the pouch of promised pepper. Cow is puzzled by the greeting, noting that it hasn't even been a week. The Silver Wolf's roar arrives, with Ranga angrily demanding to know why they were summoned. World gets straight to the point, asking if Ku will teach them storage magic as promised. Ku sweats nervously, confirming that he indeed made that commitment to them. He distributes paper and pencils, instructing them to jot down key points. Mario is baffled, asking what a pencil is, which leaves Ku momentarily speechless. With his students gathered, Ku officially declares the lecture is about to begin. He starts by explaining that storage magic is a unique branch of time-space magic. He discloses that it stems from non-elemental magic, leaving Mario in disbelief. He speculates that since it lacks tributaries, anyone could potentially learn it. The group questions this, wondering why the learning potential would be so elevated. Ko clarifies that non-elemental magic possesses a universal adaptability, unlike the 6 elements. Darius requests a real-world example of a skill that comes from this magic type. Ko mentions the detection magic he utilized during the bandit attack as an example. Coral and Mario recall other instances they've heard of, such as barriers and body enhancement. Ranga grumbles about the rarity of mages, noting that typically only nobles learn magic. Cow explains that the simplest form involves creating fire, but he gets interrupted. Coral questions whether the 6 elemental magics need incantations to activate. Mario and Darius concur, having learned that a spell's strength hinges on pronunciation. Ranga and Yorol remember that Ku cast powerful magic without uttering a word. Ku clarifies that while chanting aids visualization, it's not a necessity. He reveals that non-elemental magic shapes the raw elements into their forms. Darius realizes this explains why Ku's clothes remained intact during his fire magic. Mario acknowledges that this lesson is far from what he anticipated. Kamau reassures him, stating that accurate magical knowledge in this field is scarce. He announces the start of their hands-on training in non-elemental magic. He decides that the simplest concept to begin with is barrier creation. Ranga and Darius express doubt, admitting they have no clue how to proceed. Ku illustrates the process by visualizing and uttering the word to form a shimmering cube. He instructs them to concentrate on 3 essential factors: size, hardness, and duration. He demonstrates how the shape can shift to a sphere based on one's imagination. Then, he effortlessly morphs the sphere into a flawless, shimmering triangle. He encourages them to give it a shot, though they remain skeptical of their skills. Mario focuses intently, and a small, shimmering barrier of light materializes in his hands. Ranga and Dara shout in astonishment, declaring that Mario has actually succeeded. The delicate barrier flickers briefly before vanishing completely from his grasp. Cow cheers him on, noting that achieving anything on the first attempt is impressive. World confidently states that it's now their party's turn to try the spell. The three adventurers shout together and a massive, powerful barrier erupts between them. Mario is taken aback by how much larger and more impressive their barrier is compared to his. Darius and Ranga are astonished by the stability and apparent ease of the spell. Mario praises them, but Ranga points out that it was surprisingly easy to accomplish. Darius scans the area, wondering where Uriel has gone, as he seems to have drifted away. She notices Uriel admiring his own hands, amazed that he managed to create the barrier. Ku observes that they are performing better than he anticipated, likely due to hidden talent. However, concern flickers across his face as he sees their growing overconfidence. The group revels in their swift success, feeling they've easily grasped the skill. World stares of the barrier, surprised that it remains intact. Ku raises his hand, his expression serious, fingers poised to snap. Just as their barrier finally fades, Ku snaps his fingers sharply. Oral inquires about his actions, and Kust firmly advises him not to celebrate prematurely. He cautions them that mastering storage magic requires more than just barriers. He points out that their barrier was laughably weak, barely stopping a flick to the forehead. He delivers his ultimatum. At their current level, he can't teach them storage magic. He likens it to a newborn baby, stating you can't expect it to run. He explains that magic operates similarly. They must first master the basics. Ranga and Darius ask what it truly means to create a barrier properly. Cow raises his hand, ready to illustrate the vast gap between their abilities. KU showcases his vastly superior barrier, leaving his four pupils utterly astonished. World tests the barrier with a flick, astonished that it stands firm. Ku declares their initial objective. They must learn to craft a barrier like his. The four students burst into a chorus of horrified disbelief at the daunting task. Oral grumbles about the unexpectedly high standards, while Mario laments the challenge. Darius, with hope, asks for a shortcut, but Ku bluntly states he knows none. World realizes that creating a barrier means relentless practice is essential. Fueled by new determination, Uriel rallies the group to commence their rigorous training. Ku observes them, a subtle pleased smile appearing on his face. With his students now driven, Ku finds himself with little to occupy his time. A month of intense training unfolds beneath the towering mountains. Oral stands tall, eager to showcase the results of their hard work. Mario, though fatigued, displays a newfound and determined spirit. Darius beams with pride as she presents the stable barrier she can now conjure. Ranga watches, his face reflecting his newfound strength and confidence. Ranga proudly announces their success, stating they have conquered Ku's tough challenge. Ku, genuinely impressed, congratulates them all on their outstanding accomplishment. Mario humbly admits his surprise at mastering the skill so swiftly. Oral notes that he can now sense magic coursing through his body. Ku reveals this was the true objective and introduces the next lesson. Ranga is puzzled, but Ku insists this technique differs from regular training. He clarifies that their new awareness of magic is crucial for the next phase. He presents the next technique, learning to circulate magic freely within themselves. Oral repeats the unfamiliar phrase, magic circulation, his expression questioning. Ku instructs them to observe closely as he demonstrates with a simple leap. He blasts into the sky like a rocket, leaving a crater in his wake. Oral stares, his face a portrait of sheer shock and disbelief. The rest of the students are equally astonished by the incredible spectacle. He then descends, landing as softly and silently as a feather. He casually turns to them, asking if they grasped the demonstration. His students, now wildly enthusiastic, roar their eagerness to start the next lesson. Another month flies by, and their progress is nothing short of remarkable. Their barriers grow larger and more powerful, a testament to their dedication. They master magic circulation, their bodies now filled with controlled energy. Crying tears of joy, Mario finally succeeds in using storage magic for the first time. And so, after 2 months, the intensive magic lessons finally conclude. The grateful students gather to express their thanks to their teacher for the incredible lessons. Their success has ignited a desire to learn even more forms of magic. The three adventurers and Mario now direct their hopeful gazes at Ku. They slowly approach their teacher, who appears taken aback by their unified gaze. Mario explains that a proper magic lecture would typically demand an astronomical fee. Oral adds that while it's a significant favor, exceptions can be made for friends. Ku, sweating nervously, wonders why they are all acting so strangely. Darius points out that Mario was the one who initially requested the lessons. Ranga agrees, stating their newfound abilities have only fueled their desire to learn more. Darius officially nominates a stunned Mario to make the request on their behalf. The adventurers playfully bicker, noting merchants or skilled negotiators. They finally ask Ku if he would continue teaching them for a similar fee. Darrison insists on the same price, earning a sharp rebuke from Euro. Ku agrees immediately and casually, leaving his friends utterly speechless once more. Ranga mutters that Errol is in for a serious talk later. Ku cuts in, shifting the topic to showcase his latest creation. He reveals an odd metallic gadget, a portable single-burner stove. He dubs it a magic-conducting conro, crafted during his free time. Finding the stoves in this world lacking, he decided to improve them. He explains to Mario that it's inspired by a device from his previous world. He shows how it works, one knob for ignition, another for flame control. Its most useful feature is the ease of flame adjustment. Mario stares, his thoughts racing with the possibilities of this simple tool. He bursts with enthusiasm, declaring the tiny adjustable stove a game-changer. Curious, Mario inquires about the heat source, and Ku points to a small drawer. Inside lies a slime stone resting on a complex magical circle. The device is solid. He mentions it's currently powered by a horn rabbit stone, lasting up to 80 hours. They express shock, questioning why it uses a fire attribute stone. Ko Kumley clarifies that it operates on a non-elemental magic stone instead. Mario's merchant instincts kick in as he probes about selling the invention. He confidently asserts that this creation will fly off the shelves. Kao, taken aback by the enthusiasm, wonders if mass production is wise. He modestly claims he's just an amateur seeking their feedback. Then he brushes off the idea of selling it, leaving Merchant Mario horrified. Ural and Ranga quickly back Mario, both eager for a conro of their own. Mario's tone shifts to serious, urging Kuda to visit the commercial guild. He explains this is more than just a product. It can transform lives. Moved by his friend's fervor, Kuda agrees to accompany him the next day. At the commercial guild, an official immediately recognizes the device as revolutionary. A swift business plan is devised for the conro's production and distribution. Kao feels more than satisfied with his deal to receive a 3% royalty. To safeguard his unique magic formula, he's advised to register with the guild. He receives his official registration card from the commercial guild. The receptionist informs him that his initial rank is F, the lowest tier. Mario encourages him to take on quests to elevate his new commercial rank. That night, he contemplates how his previous life was all about work. Now he has no duties or missions. He feels utterly free. He immerses himself in a book on advanced magic, free from worry or tedium. The page describes the spell Meteor, and he finds it all incredibly enjoyable. He wishes these tranquil days could stretch on forever as rumors swirl. Two adventurers chat about the news. Silverwolf's Roar has been promoted to B rank. Ku overhears and is genuinely impressed by his friend's swift rise. As he searches for a quest, the guild receptionist Mary calls out to him. Mary beams and warmly congratulates him on his own promotion to C rank. He's so taken aback that he asks if it's a joke, which Mary firmly denies. Her demeanor shifts to serious as she reveals there's more to discuss. She informs a stunned Kao that the guild master has summoned him personally. He wonders why, but Mary explains she was only instructed to bring him. Who ponders if he's in trouble? A question Mary can't answer. His face reflects confusion and anxiety as he follows her. She guides him down an ornate corridor toward the guildmaster's office. Mary reflects that it's unusual for the state to notice an ordinary adventurer. Who watches with a worried look, his mind racing with potential outcomes. They reach a large wooden door, and Mary announces their arrival. Mary, the receptionist, declares she has brought the C-rank adventurer cousin. The guildmaster responds with a curt commanding "Oh." Ku gazes up at the formidable figure, inquiring if he has arrived. From his desk, the guildmaster waves Mary off, telling her she can leave. The door slams shut, isolating Ku with the guildmaster. The man verifies Ku's age, asserting he believes he is 15. His demeanor is grave as he reveals the purpose of the summons. He wishes for Kudu to enroll in the Knight and Mage Academy in the royal capital. Stunned, he questions if he heard right about an academy. The guildmaster clarifies that they send promising young adventurers there annually. He inquires about what Kao thinks, but the boy is too stunned to reply. Kao reflects that at least his self-taught magic wasn't in vain. The guildmaster describes it as a place for learning magic and manners. However, he emphasizes that the real aim is to forge connections. He discloses that Ko was selected for being the quickest to reach C Ring. Ku remains unimpressed, admitting he doesn't feel particularly thrilled. He internally sighs at the thought of returning to school after his past life. He learns he must take an exam in the capital next month. Ku is puzzled, asking what he means since he was already selected. The guildmaster clarifies that his admission is already assured. Tao realizes that his enrollment is a done deal. He comprehends this is an offer he cannot refuse. He will also be residing in a dormitory, a fact that terrifies him. The guildmaster chuckles while Ku notes his surprisingly relaxed attitude. Kaloxon realizes a new complex chapter of his life is about to unfold. Outside a training facility, someone grumbles about that cow guy. Uriel, Ranga, Darius, and Mario wait impatiently, curious about Ku's arrival. Darius complains that their B-rank promotion feels empty due to Ku's achievements. Orville tells Mario that Ku taught them magic for an absurdly low fee. Mario agrees, pointing out that this is part of what makes Ko so odd. Mario Saez remarks he should have negotiated a lower limit from the outset. We'll ask Mario to keep an eye on Ku for them. Orley admits he feels anxious, as leaving Ku alone seems quite risky. Mario recalls flashes of Ku's overwhelming strength and erratic behavior. Earl smiles warmly, assuring them he will definitely look out for him. Kao suddenly appears behind them, startling Errol and Mario. He apologizes for the scare, explaining he had been outside. Darius quickly approaches him, stating she has a question. She proudly announces that her party, Silver Wolf's Roar, has achieved B rank. Boasting about the new rank, she is interrupted by Cousin News. Ural and Ranga realize it's only a matter of time before he overtakes them. Darius is astonished as Ku reaches C rank in just half a year. Cal explains their magic lectures for the month will need to be canceled. Ranga asks if there's an issue, immediately suspecting it's about finances. Ko's expression turns serious as he begins to reveal the true reason. He discloses his compulsory enrollment in the Royal Capital's Knight and Mage Academy. The group is impressed, with Ranga noting it's a prestigious institution. Mario encourages him, telling Ku not to fret about them. Darius questions why he even needs to attend an academy at all. Earl correctly surmises it was a directive from the guildmaster. Ku confesses his reluctance to leave, yet views it as a chance. He believes this is a prime opportunity to grasp the basics of magic. This knowledge will enable him to teach them even more effectively. His friends observe him, a blend of worry and understanding on their faces. He announces that they will have rigorous lessons before he begins dorm life. He proposes teaching Mario the appraisal skill, which excites the merchant. Ku reflects, realizing he has only a month remaining in this life. He resolves to spend the remaining time with his friends. During his leisure, he retreats to the tranquility of his divine sanctuary. Utilizing his Conro knowledge, he decides to experiment with new inventions. He stands before a colossal engine, amazed that such creations are possible. He aims to design devices that function without constant magical input. With this goal, he sets out to construct a magic conducting engine. If he succeeds, he reasons a real vehicle could be within reach. A close-up reveals the complex, glowing inner mechanisms of the engine. He sighs, realizing that such ambitious projects won't be feasible in a dorm. The month flies by, and soon it's time for his departure. At the guild, Mary stands next to the guildmaster. She hesitantly poses a question to the guildmaster. She wonders why he appears so discontent with the situation. He gazes out the window, denying that anything is amiss. He keeps up a casual front, though his irritation is evident. He mutters about providing a carriage, grumbling that youth are spoiled. Mary gazes out the window, a contemplative look on her face. As the carriage wheels rumble, she reflects on the value of friendship. Inside the carriage, Ku questions why his friends chose to accompany him. Maru chuckles, noting that Ku remains as cool and collected as ever. Mario explains it was no hassle since they have their own carriage. The two carriages travel side by side, his friends determined to see him off. A large bird glides high above, catching Ku's eye. He wonders if it would taste good if he hunted and roasted it. Mario and Uriel exchange smiles, reminiscing about their first encounter with him. Mario spots their destination and calls out to Ku. The two carriages approached the towering outer walls of the royal capital. Mario and Yura gaze ahead at the vast cityscape. The capital's grand architecture looms high above the walls. Ko, Uriel, and Darius watch, their time together nearing its end. The clock tower of the Royal Academy stands tall, marking Ku's new chapter. An instructor outlines the practical exam. Hit the targets with full power. Two students chant fervently, gathering magical energy for their spells. The instructor impatiently urges a nervous student to hurry and cast. He scoffs, utterly convinced the student's magic won't cause any harm. A student steps forward, ready to unleash his spell. A powerful surge of energy erupts from the student's hands. Ku stands with his hands raised, facing three bewildered and angry students. He finds the situation odd. He was told nothing would break. An academy official ponders the results of the recent exam. He sweats nervously, reviewing Ku's flawless score on the written test. He demands to know why the physical tests were labeled immeasurable. He recalls how Ku completed the 50-meter dash in the blink of an eye. The proctor remembered the vertical leap, an astonishing jump exceeding 4 meters. The official fumed, recalling how a single spell obliterated the exam hall. His co-worker reminded him that many had seen the Ku's incredible might. He admitted that Kao was the most exceptional talent since the academy's inception. Undoubtedly, the official believed the new Ku deserved the top student title. However, she dismissed him, declaring the Ku's records unofficial for political motives. The man challenged her choice, but she merely scoffed in contempt. She clarified the academy's dependence on contributions from its numerous noble patrons. She reminded him that he was fully aware of these other factors. Placing a commoner above the nobles would be a disgraceful embarrassment. On the entrance ceremony day, students eagerly checked their class assignments. Ko was puzzled, thinking class placements were determined by exam results. He found himself in D class, wondering what his parents would think. He speculated that perhaps someone had actually outperformed him, yet he remembered only seeing weak magic users during the test. A proud noble and his entourage approached him, demanding his attention. The noble ordered him to step aside, but Ku was utterly perplexed. He noticed the crowd had inexplicably parted, leaving him isolated. Onlookers recognized the noble as the marquis's son, the top student. Ku was bewildered as the noble impatiently urged him to move. Ku calmly suggested the noble could simply walk around him. His followers were shocked by Ko's astonishing display of disrespect. Other students whispered in disbelief at his insolence toward a noble. As for Sneered, he accused Ku of intentionally blocking his path. A follower demanded an apology, but Ku simply stated he didn't recognize him. He was introduced as Lord Asfer, a name that meant nothing to Ku. Furious, he raised his fist and commanded him to move. His punch was halted by an unseen barrier shielding Ku. The glimmering barrier faded, leaving Asper bewildered and disoriented. A sharp pain surged through the young noble's hand. He screamed in agony, much to Ku's quiet astonishment. Crying that his bones were shattered, his followers rushed to assist him. Asking what had happened, Ko explained it was merely a basic defensive barrier. Onlookers began to ridicule the noble, pointing out his tears. Humiliated, he shot a venomous glare back as he retreated. Kao remained utterly confused by the chaotic turn of events. A teacher arrived, dispersing the crowd and instructing everyone to head to class. He paused to warn Ku that he would remember his face. He vowed that Ku would pay for this public humiliation. Ku was left completely perplexed, wondering what had just transpired. He feared his academy life had already spiraled into a troublesome mess. That evening, his friends gathered, questioning his placement in D class. They all concurred that assigning him to the lowest class was nonsensical. Maru revealed that class assignments were determined by lineage, not ability. Oral lamented the academy's corruption and asked if Ku was okay. Kun casually reassured his worried friend that he would be fine. He disclosed his plan to use a golem copy as a decoy. He then inquired how long his friends intended to stay. They had only planned to see him off, but now felt uncertain. Nearby, a merchant seer twitched at the mention of the Conraup. Maru and the merchant exchanged a glance of mutual intense interest. The two men sprang to their feet, startling Ko and his friends. Darius had just been detailing the incredible convenience of the Conros. The merchant approached their table, confirming what he had just overheard. Identifying themselves as traders, they inquired about more product specifics. Darius recognized them as outsiders, merchants from the capital. They explained their struggles to obtain the Conrad, facing repeated failures. Ranga suggested they should capitalize on their presence in the capital. Whirl and Darius quickly concurred with his idea. Darius devised a cunning scheme to reveal the Academy's corruption. Ku was taken aback by her sudden wicked proposal. Ranga expressed his enthusiastic support, much to Ku's dismay. All joined in, leaving Ku feeling completely outnumbered. His friends cheered, eager to stir up trouble for the arrogant Academy. Ko worried that things were getting complicated, hoping for a positive outcome. The following day, the instructor officially commenced the first lesson. He introduced the day's subject, the basics of magic. Setting aside yesterday's chaos, Ko was excited to finally learn. The instructor launched into his lecture on the correct use of magic. He asserted that incantations were crucial, shocking Kudu to his core. Count knew this was untrue. He had never needed a single chant. He then discussed offering power to spirits, a concept foreign to company. Later, as he walked down the hall, he sighed, dismissing the lesson as false. He lamented the abysmally low quality of the Academy's teaching. The thought of enduring 3 more years of this was profoundly disappointing. From the shadows, a figure inquired about the individual in question. Asper was conversing with a hooded assassin, confirming their target. He seethed with anger, vowing to never forgive the D-class scum. He turned to the assassin, suggesting they simply have Ko eliminated. The assassin unsheathed a blade, confirming the task would be straightforward. Asper laughed, pleased with the reliability of his family's assassin. He issued the final command. The deed was to be done tonight. With a look of pure malice, he gave the final order, eliminate him. The assassin's eyes sparkled, acknowledging the kill order. In a town square, Mario and Mario showcased the remarkable Conro. They proclaimed the magic-conducting Conro to be an astonishing invention. In a grand plaza, they invited the curious crowd to take a look. His friends observed, wondering if this was an easy way to make money. Ranga noted they were there as guards, though it seemed like a simple job. A peculiar young man asked Mario if he had created the device. Mario clarified it was crafted in his workshop, but not by him. He explained that the true inventor was, in fact, someone else. Ranga and Darius sensed this enigmatic man was no ordinary individual. The man politely yet firmly requested additional information about the product. That night, Ku returned to his dorm room at the Academy. He lay on the floor, utterly disheartened by the Academy's library. The texts were vague, lacking the detail he desperately sought. He had anticipated more from an elite institution, but was disappointed. The only silver lining was having a room all to himself. Suddenly, he heard the unmistakable sound of his door creaking open. Ku sensed his door opening by itself, wondering if it was some prank. He slips out of bed, his bare feet meeting the cool wooden floor. Peering around the corner, he wonders who could be lurking at this hour. A shadowy figure cloaked in darkness suddenly materializes behind him, radiating hostility. In a flash, the assassin lunges, a blade aimed straight at Ku's back. The attacker's eyes widen in disbelief as their strike is abruptly halted. Ku remains composed as an unseen barrier deflects the blade, shattering the air. His gaze sharpens as he confronts the bewildered intruder, demanding their identity. The force of the barrier sends the assassin crashing to the ground. Ku observes that he's been tailed all day, questioning what his pursuer wants. The assassin stands frozen, sweat trickling down their brow in shock. Deciding to be friendly, Ku extends his hand toward the frightened assassin. The assassin flinches as Kawa's hand darts toward them with alarming speed. A muffled gasp escapes the assassin as Ku's potent magic ensnares them. He warns that if the assassin remains silent, he'll have to find another method. He declares his plan to delve into the assassin's memories for the truth. A torrent of images floods Ko's mind, Asper's fury and the command to kill. Ko realizes this is linked to Asper's people from the previous day's chaos. He discovers that 4 more assassins are concealed within the Academy. With newfound determination, Ku resolves how to tackle the situation. He knows he must act swiftly to keep his Academy life from constant upheaval. Outside Asper's dorm, Ku calls out the young noble's name into the night. Inside, he smugly instructs his follower to let Kubi know, expecting good news. He grins maliciously, anticipating that news of Kusa's downfall could arrive soon. Suddenly, someone teleports into the room, startling both Asper and his follower. The follower stutters in disbelief, demanding to know where Ku just appeared from. His face reflects sheer disbelief and terror at the impossible sight. He looms over the unconscious assassin, questioning what's going on. He calmly explains that these individuals were sent specifically to eliminate him. As for his stunned expression, he realizes Ku refers to his family's assassins. Ko confirms it relates to yesterday's events, causing Asper to sweat nervously. He clarifies he wasn't bothered, unaware that Asper took it so personally. Asper, shaking with fear, concedes he was wrong and begins to apologize. Ku's expression darkens as he warns that next time, both Asper and his crew will suffer. As for his quivering state, Ku thinks this warning should be enough. Kao cheerfully waves goodbye, urging them to get along from now on. The follower stares in disbelief as Ku vanishes in a brilliant flash. Gazing out the window, he ponders what on earth that boy truly is. At the off-road mansion, Asfer reports losing contact with all the assassins. The Marquis can't believe his elite unit was bested by a mere commoner. He inquires if the boy has any organization backing him, but Asfer is clueless. A woman's voice interjects, stating that while squabbles are one thing, this is serious. The Marquis contemplates his next move, while his wife hatches a cunning plan. She proposes they formally summon Ku and have the Knight's Order take him out. The Marquis grins wickedly, relishing the idea of a training accident to eliminate him. 3 days later, the Academy's clock tower chimes as Ku sighs in tedium. He wanders the halls, questioning the value of attending such dull classes. A calm voice calls his name, and he turns to see a young man waiting. The man asks for his identity, introducing himself as a messenger from Marquis Off-Road. The messenger hands over a letter from the Marquis, requesting Kao to read it. Chao takes the letter, feeling both surprised and suspicious about its sudden arrival. He tears open the envelope, which formally addresses him as Lord Ko. The letter feigns an apology, inviting him to a joint training session as a form of atonement. The messenger reveals that the Marquis is considering his involvement with the Knight's Order. His eyes glimmer with mild interest, pondering if this could be more beneficial than class. He observes that the letter insists he must attend the event at the Royal Capital's arena. He inquires about the nature of the training, and the messenger responds that it's happening today. Ko is taken aback to discover the messenger has arrived to take him there right away. He attempts to decline, claiming he never consented, but the messenger insists he must comply. The messenger cautions that not attending will pose a problem, revealing it's mandatory. He finds himself led to a vast Colosseum-like arena designated for combat training. He surveys the surroundings, sensing that something feels off for a mere training session. Amidst hundreds of knights, he notes the atmosphere is thick with open hostility. He suddenly realizes he's been completely surrounded by the armored warriors. A sound effect underscores the knights closing in, effectively trapping him. The knights stand in silent, orderly ranks, their faces obscured by their helmets. The sheer number of soldiers creates an overwhelming sense of intimidation and pressure. He asks where the Marquis is, but the commander simply states they will commence. The commander's glare radiates menace as he issues a single brutal command, "Go!" The knights roar and charge as one, weapons drawn, converging on a stunned Ko. He's taken aback that they would assault him without any explanation or warning. The first knight's blade descends with deadly intent, aimed to kill. The commander realizes this was a trap the moment they called it training. The knights are shocked to find their target has vanished, now perched atop the arena wall. Ko looks down in frustration, wishing they had just been straightforward. He sighs, noting that the Marquis and his arrogant son share the same tactics. A dark orb of energy materializes in his hand as he decides to retaliate. Standing on a magical platform, he unleashes a wave of pure, non-elemental energy. A massive shockwave erupts, and the knights cry out as they are sent flying. The entire force lies scattered and incapacitated across the arena floor. The messenger who led him into this trap stares in utter disbelief from the stands. Ko turns his gaze to the terrified messenger, who emits a small shriek of fear. In the headmaster's office, the official sweats, stating they can't afford to waste time. Ko, annoyed, declares he came to study, not to engage in noble games. He demands to know if the headmaster is listening, who can only apologize profusely. At a tavern, Ko tells his friends he believes things are settled for the moment. Oral notes that Ko must have had a rough time as well. Ko asks if something happened to them, and Ural hesitates to respond. Mario explains that a strange man appeared at their Conroe demonstration yesterday. Kozai narrows his eyes with curiosity, pondering this mysterious figure. Renga admits he told the man that Ko was the one who developed the Conroe. Ko sighs, sensing more trouble brewing as Darius complains about being pestered. Everyone is asked how long they plan to stay in the capital now that Ko is leaving. He questions Mario about his seriousness regarding his plans, but his mind is elsewhere. Uriel wonders who that man was as the Academy's clock tower looms in the night. The headmaster is startled by a late-night visitor, questioning who would be so rude. The door swings open to reveal Alan, flanked by two imposing golems. The man introduces himself as Alan, a special investigator sent from the royal palace. He demands access to the records of the recent entrance exam, shocking the headmaster. When questioned, Alan states with icy authority that it's an order from the king. The academy's headmaster watches, his expression a mask of shock and stress. Alan hands over a hefty pile of papers, showcasing the entrance exam results. He scans a page, his expression serious and intent. Alan observes that the highest scores are solely from noble offspring. The headmaster attributes this to their privileged upbringing, yet Alan's disappointment is evident. Alan tells the shocked headmaster that he has thoroughly looked into the situation. He charges the headmaster with failing to grasp the academy's real mission. He explains that the academy has shifted significantly in recent years under the headmaster's leadership. Placing powerless students in top-tier classes is completely pointless. He continues, stating that noble children have been spoiled and sheltered their whole lives. In contrast, commoner kids are trained in magic and combat from an early age. This, Alan tells the headmaster, is a natural and anticipated result. He discloses that these commoner students are selected by the kingdom's own scouts. The academy's purpose is to mold them, breaking the pride of the pampered elite. The headmaster stutters, demanding to know the basis of Alan's assertions. Alan uses Ku as a case in point, questioning how much the headmaster truly knows. The headmaster can only refer to the boy as the child of a mere commoner. Alan scoffs, aware that the headmaster views a cow as just an adventurer's offspring. He reveals that both adventurers and trade guilds are protesting to the royal palace. He highlights Ku's remarkable achievement, reaching C rank in under a year. The headmaster realizes the Adventurers Guild would indeed protest for such talent. However, he is taken aback, questioning why the commercial guild would also be involved. Alan's gaze sharpens as he inquires if the headmaster is aware of the magic device Conro. The headmaster acknowledges he knows about the groundbreaking device that enables fire control. Alan then asks if he knows who was behind its creation. The headmaster's complexion drains as the dreadful realization begins to hit him. He exclaims, understanding he placed the revolutionary inventor in D class. Alan adds that because of this, the off-road marquisate has also faced severe consequences. He asserts that had the headmaster recognized Cal's true potential, this disaster could have been avoided. Alan presses, urging him to comprehend the seriousness of his blunder. The headmaster slumps in his chair, defeated, as Alan readies his final verdict. Alan proclaims that the headmaster must step down from the academy without delay. The headmaster protests in shock, but Alan insists the decision is irrevocable. All similarly minded instructors will also resign as the headmaster lets out a cry of despair. That night, Ku's golem stands quietly in his dorm room at the academy. He thinks to himself that tomorrow will start early, so he should get some rest. A sudden knock at the door jolts him, and he fears he's been discovered. He opens the door to find Alan, who politely requests a moment of his time. Alan apologizes for the late visit and asks if they can have a brief conversation. Ku is taken aback, wondering what the investigator could possibly want to discuss. Alan reveals that he knows Ku was actually the highest scorer on the exam. He asks what will happen to the school now that so many teachers have left. He hopes that with new instructors, the classes might finally improve. Alan brings up the incident at the training grounds, making Ku uneasy. He reassures Ku that his actions were deemed legitimate self-defense. Alan then hands Ku a rolled scroll, instructing him to take it. Ku accepts it, warily wondering if it's yet another odd apology letter. Alan simply tells him to open it and see for himself. Ku begins to read the document, which states the classes will be restructured. It goes on to declare that the academy has nothing further to teach him. The document officially states that he is set to graduate from the academy today. Completely taken aback, Ku questions the sudden shift in circumstances. He protests that it hasn't even been a week, but Alan insists it's pointless. Alan then presents a small pouch, referring to it as a token of consolation for all the hassle. Ku is floored to discover the pouch holds an astonishing 300 million real. He inquires if this amount is significant, and Alan affirms that it is indeed. He realizes this sum is more than enough to purchase a building from the Marquise. With gratitude, he accepts the payment as Alan advises him to use it however he wishes. Thus, Ku's wild and thrilling academy life concluded before it truly began. As they travel away from the capital, the carriage wheel creaks while someone exhales. Oral and Mario wish they could have lingered in the capital a bit longer. Mario turns to Urail, asking what Ku intends to do now that he has graduated. Ku, riding alongside them, can only provide a vague, contemplative reply. He gazes at the scenery passing by, pondering what he genuinely wants from life. He feels that leaving his haven was pointless if he lacks a new goal. Choosing to take a break, he suddenly poses a question to his friends. In his sanctuary, Ku celebrates his latest invention with a triumphant shout. He admires his newly crafted magic conducting engine, which exceeded his expectations. However, he notices that even this sacred sanctuary is beginning to show signs of wear. The fruit trees in the water no longer boast the vibrancy they once had. He contemplates the oddity of this world, yet he managed to create an engine. He understands he must determine his next steps, as Mary has summoned him back to the guild. He wonders what new invention he can create using his powerful engine. He resolves to seek inspiration from one of the ancient tomes he discovered. Settling down, he flips through the pages, hoping to uncover something extraordinary. A specific diagram captures his attention, prompting him to examine it closely. He is astonished to find a clear, straightforward guide on constructing a golem. The text states that the golem's core requires a magic stone with earth attributes. He remembers the Mad Boar's stone and his extensive collection of other magic stones. He concludes it's a straightforward project, a fun experiment to occupy his time. He places a small carved stone at the center of a large magic circle. Standing before the enormous glowing formation, he readies himself for the incantation. With a joyful shout, he finally utters the words he's always longed to say. "Come forth, golem." The earth trembles as a colossal hulking stone figure materializes before him. The cow stands speechless, awestruck by the sheer size of his new creation. The golem remains still and silent, awaiting its initial command. Cow realizes he probably needs to give an order to set it in motion. He issues a simple command to walk, and the golem lurches forward. Encouraged by its compliance, he decides to explore its other capabilities. He commands it to run, but it continues to move at the same slow pace. He feels a twinge of disappointment upon realizing it can't run at all. He then instructs it to jump, and it leaps powerfully into the air. Impressed by the leap, he decides to push its limits even further. He commands it to jump higher, but it appears to have hit its peak. He concludes that further experiments are necessary to grasp its capabilities. With his initial test concluded, he resolves to visit the Adventurers Guild. He instructs the golem to approach so he can safely store it. He arrives in the vast, sprawling city of Lindrunga. As he strolls down a cobblestone street, he senses a presence nearby. He looks up, his eyes widening in astonishment at the approaching figure. Ku stands amidst a large crowd, watching a solemn procession move through the city square. A man in the crowd identifies the procession as the Knight's Order in Mage Division. Another bystander identifies the woman at the forefront, recognizing her as a mage from the court. Ku senses something amiss, questioning the reason behind such a significant delegation visiting Lindrunga. A sense of unease washes over him as he overhears unsettling rumors about the royal capital. An enthusiastic man shares a tale about a student who completed their academy training in just a week. Realizing they're discussing him, Ku decides to rush to the Adventurers Guild. The grand ornate facade of the Adventurers Guild looms against the sky. Inside, the receptionist Mary greets him with a bright, cheerful smile, offering her congratulations. Confused, he asks what she means and why this feels oddly familiar. Murray joyfully proclaims that due to the capital incident, he has now achieved B rank. He stutters, mentioning he just reached C rank, but Mary insists his swift advancement is impressive. Ku realizes he is caught up with his friends and anxiously wonders how Darius will respond. A deep voice calls out, announcing its presence from behind him. He turns to find the guildmaster, surprised to see him away from his office. The guildmaster inquires if Mary has gathered everyone as per his instructions. He then fixes his serious gaze on Ku, instructing him to follow. Ku trails behind the guildmaster and Miri, utterly perplexed by the unfolding events. They step into a vast hall crammed with hundreds of adventurers. He gazes at the multitude of faces, questioning why so many adventurers have gathered. From the stage, the guildmaster addresses the assembly, apologizing for the abrupt summons. Adventurers immediately protest, demanding to know if this is a call to arms. Mary quietly informs a surprised Ku that the kingdom is at war with Tordole. She adds that many adventurers, including the Silver Wolf's roar, have already been dispatched. Having been isolated, Ku fears the war must be going poorly to necessitate this. The Guildmaster clarifies that this emergency isn't tied to the ongoing conflict. He solemnly reveals that this concerns a crisis threatening Lindrunga itself. He announces that a delegation from the capital has arrived to explain the dire situation. The doors swing open and the court mage Olga strides in, flanked by her entourage. Ku instantly recognizes her as the woman he saw leading the earlier procession. Olga introduces herself as the court mage assigned to lead the forthcoming mission. The adventurers murmur in confusion, shocked to hear the term mission. Olga discloses that a scouting party has confirmed an invasion by a horde of demon beasts. Moreover, she states that the Knight's Order confirmed the horde's movements this morning. The destination of the demon beasts is clear. They're heading straight for Lindrunga. The crowd erupts in disbelief, shouting that monsters typically don't form hordes. Some adventurers remain overly confident, believing their numbers guarantee an easy win. A man asks how many there are, boasting that a B ranker could handle 20. Olga prepares to enumerate the confirmed threats, while the Guildmaster watches grimly. The first enemy revealed is around 100 trolls wielding SS Plus rank Earth magic. Next, there are about 150 Hjorks, each possessing S-rank Earth magic. A similar number of S-rank Mad Boars also make up the ground forces. The list continues, adding roughly 80 wyverns to the already terrifying count. The main body of the horde consists of about 300 Greenwood wolves with S-rank magic. Soaring high above are an additional 40 wyverns of the incredibly powerful SS rank. The adventurers are horrified, realizing every single monster is S rank or higher. Panic spreads as they shout that if such a horde attacks, the city is doomed. Olga attempts to calm them, stating her forces have come precisely for this reason. She dismisses the local adventurers, claiming their strength is insignificant in this battle. An adventurer with a mohawk angrily tells her to cease her condescending tone. Ku realizes she's correct. Confronting such a force head-on would be suicide. A sudden brilliant idea strikes him as he gazes into the distance. He recalls a powerful, intricate magic formation known as Meteor. This seems like the ideal moment to unleash the devastating spell. He lifts his hand, volunteering to join the subjugation mission. The other adventurers are taken aback, calling him reckless and foolish. The Guildmaster and Olga watch, surprised by the boy's unexpected input. The Guildmaster begins to explain Ku's status as an adventurer, but Olga interrupts. She smirks condescendingly, commenting on the foolish pride of youth. She informs Ku that she won't allow any unnecessary casualties. Her demeanor shifts as she bluntly labels him a hindrance. She commands him to stay back, leaving Ku stunned by her harsh words. Who feels disheartened? His chance to wield his ultimate spell seems gone. The Guildmaster clears his throat, ready to issue new commands to the adventurers. He declares that an evacuation order will be sent out for all Lindrunga citizens. He instructs the adventurers to help guide people to the evacuation shelters. He tells them to collect a map of the shelter locations from Mary. Ku grabs the map, surprised by the shelter's location. He recognizes it as the place where he held magic lectures with friends. Olga warns that the demon beast horde will likely arrive by nightfall. She urges everyone to hurry as time is running short. The Guildmaster gives a final order, and the adventurers roar their agreement. Ko, holding the map, steals his resolve as the hall begins to clear. As others depart, Ku asks if the Guildmaster and Miri are not evacuating. Mary explains that as guild staff, they must stay behind. The Guildmaster adds that he will join Olga's forces at the front. He reveals that the shelter belongs to Mario, who offered it to the city. He asks Ku to convey his gratitude to Mario if he encounters him. He pauses, then tells Ku there's one last thing he must say. He gazes at Ku seriously, a silent warning in his eyes. The Guildmaster and Mary turn away, leaving Ku alone in the hall. Ku stands still for a moment, contemplating the weight of the looming crisis. As he walks through the city, he realizes the emergency is worse than he thought. A strange calm washes over him, despite the city's potential destruction. He plants his foot firmly on the cobblestones, his determination solidifying. He resolves to do what he can to assist and starts directing the fleeing citizens. He shouts for everyone to stay calm, guiding them toward the evacuation carriages. He leads a group through the crowded, narrow streets of the city. Other adventurers are also busy assisting, their faces marked with worry and urgency. The scene is a whirlwind of controlled chaos as people rush toward safety. Ku feels like he's lagging behind, not doing enough to help. A loud, desperate wail pierces the noise, grabbing his immediate attention. He spots a small girl crying uncontrollably for her parents. He approaches her gently, asking what's wrong in a soft, kind voice. She tells him her parents vanished suddenly, and she doesn't know where they are. Kano realizes that with so many people, his detection magic won't work. The girl's stomach growls loudly, and she pleads with him not to cry. He asks if she'd like to search for her parents with him, and she nods. He introduces himself and learns the little girl's name is Liv. She tells him her parents were heading for the carriages near the tower. A hopeful Liv asks if that's true, and Ku cautiously agrees, saying probably. Ku suggests they head to the nearby tower, and Liv gratefully agrees, thanking her big brother. As they stroll, Liv excitedly shares with Ku that she's soon to be a big sister. Liv mentions her mother has a baby in her belly. Ku simply responds, "Oh." The mention of a sibling sparks a memory. He recalls the joy surrounding his sister's arrival. He ponders about his parents' well-being, remembering he passed without saying goodbye. Liv calls out to her older brother, pulling Ku from his thoughts. He apologizes. He reminds himself to stop dwelling on his past life and concentrate on locating Liv's parents. The grand tower of the city, ornate central tower, soars into the cloudy afternoon. Upon reaching the tower, they encounter a vast, anxious crowd of people waiting. Ku inquires if she spots her parents, but Liv sadly replies she has no idea. He realizes it's a lost cause. Finding them in such a huge crowd seems impossible. Liv's hope dwindles, fearing her papa and mama might have abandoned her. Ku glances back, his attention drawn by a sudden uproar. An irate man yells, demanding to know why the carriages are delayed. Rangan observes the man has acted up again, while Ural explains the shortage of carriages. He notes the crowd is too large, yet they all seem to be heading to the same destination. He realizes this is merely a stopover, not the ultimate evacuation site. The Mohawk adventurer reassures Liv, promising they will reunite with her parents at the shelter. He roughly tells Ku to wait his turn since the carriages have limited capacity. Ku calmly declares he will construct a carriage now, surprising the large adventurer. An idea ignites. He can utilize the leftover wood from his sanctuary. The adventurer stares, sweating and utterly confused by Ku's outrageous claim. The nearby crowd of evacuees gasps and recoils in sheer shock and fear. What is that creature? The crowd screams as a gigantic golem appears before them. Ku cheerfully announces his golem is ready to assist, calling it a golem carriage. He gestures toward the enormous cart, assuring everyone there's ample space to ride. The adventurer stands in stunned silence. Ku asks why he's still there. Ku requests the still-dazed adventurer to hang this sign around his neck. He explains that once they reach the shelter, he'll have the golem return here. Well then, Ku states, as the golem starts pulling the heavily loaded cart away. The adventurer watches them leave, muttering, "What in the world is that kid?" The sign reassures Liv's parents, informing them she is safe at the shelter. On the windswept plains, the mage division stands resolutely in a single line. The guildmaster, shaken, asks Olga if that truly is the demon beast horde. They confront a terrifying, endless expanse of monsters stretching far beyond sight. A close-up reveals the menacing, glowing eye of a hulking, powerful troll. A fanged York, its eyes aglow, glares forward with pure malice. The wicked, glowing eyes of a massive tusked boar fixate on them. A blur of movement signals the start of the horde's terrifying, unstoppable charge. Olga grimly confirms the guildmaster's fears, stating that it seems to be true. Olga commands her mage division to raise a barrier and allow no one to pass. The keen, glowing eye of a massive greenwood wolf locks onto its target. A monstrous wyvern bares its sharp teeth, poised to strike from above. The knight's order is ordered to eliminate any monster that breaches the barrier. With a look of grim determination, Olga issues the final command, "Let's go!" The chapter concludes, hinting at Ku's golem carriage and Lindrunga's uncertain fate. The title page appears, a distant scream echoing from the evacuation shelter. Mario welcomes Ku at the shelter, crying with relief and thanking him for his arrival. Ku asks why he's crying. Mario, through tears, insists he's not okay. A volunteer suddenly appears, urgently begging Ku for assistance. The kitchen is overwhelmed, struggling to feed the massive influx of evacuees. A volunteer pleads for assistance, explaining their food supplies are nearly depleted. Maru reassures him, expressing his love for cooking and thanking Ku for his support. Maru guides Ku to the kitchen, allowing him to use any ingredients available. Ku examines the ingredients, contemplating what to prepare for everyone. He notices a large stash of boar meat and rice, igniting a tasty idea. He resolves to create a dish featuring boar meat, rice, and onions. On the battlefield, Olga and the guildmaster watch, horror etched on their faces. A monster bellows, relentlessly battering the shimmering magical barrier. The entire horde crashes against the barrier, which starts to splinter. Olga stares in disbelief, realizing the monsters are attempting to break through. A grinning troll bursts through, prompting Olga to scream that it's impossible. The force of the breach sends Olga and her mages reeling off balance. Olga demands to know what her subordinates have done, her focus shattered. A subordinate apologizes to Lady Olga, confessing they have reached their limit. With the barrier crumbling, Olga realizes she must depend on the knight's order. Her eyes widen in shock and horror at the dreadful scene unfolding. The knight's order charges in, stunned to find the mages already inside the walls. A knight curses the mages, yelling that the barrier was breached too easily. The guildmaster observes grimly, aware that their sheer numbers are overwhelming. Dozens of S-rank monsters flood in, making direct confrontation a death wish. Olga shouts that they cannot flee, as many mages have already fallen. She cries out that if they run, no one will remain to defend Lindrunga. The guildmaster watches, his expression one of grim acceptance. Back at the shelter, Ko adds the final touches to his delicious meal. He simmers the boar belly in a sweet and spicy sauce to serve over rice. He proudly presents his pork belly bowl to a wide-eyed and amazed Liv. "Go ahead, Liv." Sean encourages her to take the first bite. Liv takes a bite, her eyes widening in sheer surprise at the incredible flavor. She exclaims that it's delicious, a dish unlike anything she has ever tasted. Kao offers the food to others, stating he has prepared plenty for everyone. The men are doubtful but take a bite, curiosity piqued by her reaction. They are astonished by the flavor, declaring they could eat this forever. They immediately request seconds, forgetting they are in an emergency. While eating, Liv's attention is suddenly drawn to something in the crowd. She spots her parents among the other evacuees across the crowded shelter. Tears of relief fill her eyes as she whispers, "Papa, Mama." She rushes to them, and they embrace, overjoyed to finally be together. A single tear of pure joy rolls down her grateful mother's cheek. Liv cries out in happiness, safe in her father's arms as Ku observes. Ku watches with a gentle contemplative expression, pleased for the reunited family. Mario asks Ku why he seems lost in thought, but Ku insists he isn't. Ku explains he was reflecting on the diverse people living in Lindrunga. Mario is taken aback by this obvious observation, while Ku appears deep in thought. Maru interrupts, informing Coop that more evacuees are arriving and they need more food. Suddenly, a man bursts into the hall shouting that something terrible has occurred. A battered knight announces that the royal forces failed to halt the demon beast invasion. Liv and her parents stare in utter shock and disbelief at the grim news. An adventurer yells in panic that S-rank monsters are now coming for them all. A knight rushes into the shelter, declaring that the demon beasts have arrived. Panic ensues as screams fill the air. Someone attempts to calm the crowd. Panic fills the air as people shout about fleeing, yet they ponder their destination. Despair washes over them, questioning the purpose of their evacuation. Little Liv stands paralyzed, believing they had finally become a family again. With tears in her eyes, she asks if her unborn sister will never see the light of day. Ku's eyes widen, his expression shifting to one of fierce determination. He observes the frightened family, a newfound resolve etched on his face. Mario and Maru watch in confusion as Kao exits the kitchen. Ku apologizes to a startled Mario, his tone suddenly serious and distant. He informs them he'll be stepping out for a brief moment. Mario and Maru are left in shock as Ku strides away with intent. Liv watches, her small voice inquiring where her older brother is headed. The horde of demon beasts surges through the city gates like an unstoppable wave. The guildmaster questions a were-yoga about their plans to retreat. He tells her it's too late now, challenging her choice to remain. Olga defiantly declares she won't abandon her team to escape alone. From the beginning, she understood they were up against an overwhelming S-rank horde. The guildmaster stares at the impending doom, speechless and drenched in sweat. A sudden, mysterious flash of light appears on the wall beside them, who materializes out of thin air, casually greeting the astonished guildmaster. Auguste stares in disbelief, demanding to know what he's doing there. Her mind races, wondering how this child could have arrived here. Kao explains he came because he heard the invasion was unstoppable. Olga chastises him for his recklessness, questioning if he grasps the gravity of the situation. He calmly suggests using a long-range area spell to address the threat. Olga exclaims in disbelief. Her entire mage division had already failed. The guildmaster asks Ku if he can genuinely accomplish what he claims. He reflects that normally he wouldn't heed a child's words, but he recalls Ku's meteoric rise through the ranks of adventurers. He senses this child is unique, possessing something extraordinary. He remembers how Ku graduated from the Royal Academy in just a week. He believes this boy might be their salvation in this dire moment. Turning to Olga, he pleads with her to allow Ku a chance. Olga smirks, acknowledging that conventional thinking has lost all meaning. She tells Ku to proceed as he wishes, and he expresses his gratitude. Ku focuses on the task at hand, his gaze steady and resolute. A colossal, radiant dome of energy suddenly envelops the entire city. Olga is thrown off balance, utterly astonished by the surge of magic. The guildmaster inquires about what he did. Ku clarifies it's a protective barrier. The barrier is established, safeguarding the city from collateral harm. Olga realizes he utilized teleportation magic to position the massive barrier. She marvels at how he conjured it alone from above without a chant. Turning to the guildmaster, she demands to know who this boy is. The guildmaster admits he lacks knowledge about Ku's abilities. Ku declares that it's finally his moment, hoping for a favorable outcome. He stands alone before the horde, asserting he is no ordinary adventurer. He raises his hand, activating the intricate multi-layered magic formation. The guildmaster watches, whispering a desperate prayer for the spell to succeed. Olga stares in wide-eyed astonishment at the impossible magic unfolding above. Liv looks up, recalling Ko's massive scale magic, Meteor. Ku's name is called as he unleashes the cataclysmic spell. Olga identifies the tactical magic formation for the meteor spell. She realizes it typically demands a minimum of 100 mages to execute. A high-ranking mage is essential just to sustain the formation. It's hard for her to believe he's activating it solo. She peers closer, spotting the intricate, unfamiliar magic circle. Panic flashes across Ku's face as he grapples with the energy. He struggles to harness the overwhelming, volatile power he's amassed. The demon beasts gaze up at the colossal meteor plummeting down. It trolls down, its face lit by the impending celestial disaster. A high orc observes its primitive eyes reflecting the blazing light. A crazed boy's visage appears, caught in the apocalyptic radiance. A greenwood wolf gazes upward, its fate sealed by the falling star. A wyvern in the sky shifts its attention to the fiery menace. The meteor descends, a gigantic fireball consuming the sky. Its approach is heralded by a deafening roar of total annihilation. The world is engulfed in white as the meteor strikes with cataclysmic force. In an instant, the ground vaporizes in a blinding flash. The shockwave annihilates everything in its trajectory, pure devastation. Olga and the guildmaster are hurled back by the violent shock. The entire city trembles from the impact of the catastrophic blast. Olga remarks on the sheer force of the shockwave that just struck. The guildmaster inquires about Kao and the demon beast's fate. They wait on the wall for the smoke and dust to settle. The guildmaster's eyes widen in sheer disbelief at the scene. A vast, perfectly round crater extends for miles before them. Both are left speechless, struggling to grasp the extent of the devastation. Olga concedes she underestimated him. This is beyond her wildest dreams. Suddenly, Ku reappears on the wall beside them, completely unscathed. The guildmaster stutters, asking what Ku has just accomplished. Ku apologizes, admitting he had no idea the spell was so potent. Olga points out he caused environmental havoc, not just halted the horde. The guildmaster interjects, urging her to focus on the present. Olga formally apologizes to Ku for her previous rudeness. Ku brushes it off, but she presses him about his true identity. He replies it's a lengthy tale he's been asked to share before. Olga explains that after years of research, she was aware of Meteor's existence. Yet she also knew it was unfeasible for one person to cast. She reveals she noticed 5 interwoven unfamiliar magic circles in his spell. She questions who could have possibly taught him such a formation. Ku is taken aback by her keen observation and intricate question. He explains he merely followed the instructions in an ancient tome he discovered. Olga asks where he found such a valuable manuscript. He tells her. She exclaims it's impossible for such a book to exist in a general store. The guildmaster interrupts their scholarly discussion, reminding them of their responsibilities. He asserts their top priority must be to revoke the evacuation order. Olga quietly concedes he's right, her attention shifting back to reality. The guildmaster requests Ku to teleport him to the Lord's manor. Olga states she will stay with her subordinates as the guildmaster leaves. The court maid Olga sincerely thanks Ku for saving them all. The guildmaster hopes for another meeting, and Ku agrees. Lindrunga, once teetering on the edge of ruin, now enjoys a serene calm. The cow gives a final farewell wave as the guildmaster vanishes in a teleport. A solitary Ku ponders his next move, contemplating a visit to his friends. Ku's eyes snap open, filled with shock and alarm. He stands paralyzed as a telepathic voice inquires if he can hear it. His boots scrape against the cobblestones as he whirls to confront the voice. Before him stand two magnificent divine creatures, a griffin and a dragon. Ku is momentarily at a loss for words, absorbing the surreal sight. He stutters in recognition, realizing he knows the griffin. The enormous white dragon looks down, questioning who this human is. In a flash of instinct, Ku activates his appraisal ability. The outcome is startling, an ancient dragon, a divine familiar. He inquires of the griffin about its purpose in Lindrungum. The griffin clarifies that the immense magic stems from his meteor spell, Druid. The dragon adds that it also involves the use of a forbidden magical tool. It explains that this tool was utilized in ancient times to dominate demon beasts. This tool has a history of devastation, obliterating entire cities and nations. He realizes with dread that the assault on Lindrunga was premeditated. The S-rank monster horde was a calculated act of hostility. He urgently asks if someone orchestrated the entire invasion. The dragon affirms they are investigating but came to halt the horde. It expresses surprise that Ku managed to handle it solo. Cow is astonished they were aware of the threat and came to assist. The griffin grumbles that the old dragon was too slow to respond. Cow, flustered, questions who they are calling an old geezer. The dragon pointedly asks if Ku knows who created and possesses the tool. It wonders how he, the one chosen by God, could be so oblivious. Ku is taken aback, stammering, "Chosen by God? Me?" The griffin confirms that it was God who directed him to the sanctuary, who demands clarification on what they mean and who he truly is. He asks who they are, his frustration and confusion escalating. A memory flashes, Olga's disbelief at his 5-layered magic circle. The griffin inquires about his distress, but Ku is lost in contemplation. He realizes he has overlooked a fundamental truth about this world. The magic he learned from an ancient tome is unknown to everyone else. Throughout his time here, he has never encountered anyone with similar knowledge. His friends could only wield magic after he personally instructed them in the basics. Even the Royal Academy and court mage Olga were oblivious to true magic. The dragon declares it's time for them to depart. Who halts them, demanding to know what God and his familiars are. He pleads for them to share everything he longs to understand. The griffin muses that Ku might not grasp the truth. The dragon concurs, stating he knows too little about this world. With a powerful flap of its wings, it urges him to explore the world himself. The divine beings soar away, hoping to encounter him again someday. Who is left behind, irritated by their cryptic and sudden exit? In a tavern, adventurers discuss the recent war with the Total Kingdom. Mario explains that Ku's incredible meteor spell saved Lindrunga. Uriel and Ranga have returned, recounting their roles in the recent conflicts. Darius grumbles that her glorious victory was eclipsed by Ku's heroics. She complains that she wanted Mario to witness her skills. Uriel points out that Ku's tend to make everyone else seem mundane. Mario solemnly verifies the troubling news about Lindrunga. He discloses that Ku single-handedly thwarted an invasion of S-ranked demons. The adventurers inquire about Mario's urgent destination. Mario declares they are heading to Cow's house, leaving the adventurers stunned. They find themselves in front of a sleek, modern structure that feels completely foreign. In disbelief, they wonder how he manages to live there alone. The door swings open and Ku welcomes his gathered friends. Mario clarifies they came because they heard he had relocated. Ku affirms he constructed this unusual new home using magic. Darius is astonished he built it, and Ku invites them inside. They step into a spacious, minimalist living area, more shocked than ever. Darius is utterly overwhelmed, struggling to grasp the situation. She demands to know how he acquired the money and land. Uriel and Ranga are equally curious about how he funded all this. He recalls the substantial sum he received upon graduating. Ku, flustered, gets ready to recount the recent whirlwind of events. A week post-invasion, Ku was summoned by the Guildmaster. The Guildmaster officially announces Ku's elevation to A rank. Kao is taken aback by the astonishingly swift promotion. The Guildmaster questions if he isn't pleased with the news. Kao feels it's too hasty, having just become B rank a week ago. The Guildmaster insists his accomplishments justify the promotion. He explains that court mage Olga has been spreading his tale. He tells Ku that the entire city now regards him as their hero. The Guildmaster raises 2 fingers, indicating 2 rewards for his valor. First, the Lord of Lindrunga has decided to grant him land. He mentions it's a vast area, ideal for constructing a home. Ku feels overwhelmed yet thankful for such an incredible gift. The Guildmaster then reveals the second reward, a notice from the capital. For his outstanding service, Ko has been awarded a noble title. The Guildmaster hopes their amicable relationship can persist despite his new rank. He clarifies that becoming a noble entails certain obligations. Ku is stunned to discover he needs a family name and a crest. When asked, he suggests his former family name, Aramoto. The Guildmaster mispronounces it as Aramoto while drafting the papers. Ko is frustrated that the Guildmaster can't pronounce the name correctly. The Guildmaster moves on, requesting his family crest. Ko admits he lacks one and tells him to create something. The Guildmaster ponders using a demon beast or another creature. Ku blurts out a ridiculous suggestion, arguing it's too random. They bicker, with Ku insisting the Guildmaster pick something cooler. The Guildmaster counters that a fox is quite cool and tells Kuda to think. Back in the present, Mario gazes at the finalized crest design. A close-up reveals the selected design, a stunning white griffin. Mario asks Ku why he chose that specific creature. Ku simply states he has a unique bond with the beast. Whirl admits that Ku is impressive, believing he will eventually surpass his rank. Darius realizes with dread that this means her rank has now been completely eclipsed. Ku appeared with a bright smile, advising Darius not to treat his name so casually. He teasingly reminded her of his higher rank, suggesting she could drop the formalities. With a cheeky grin, he dubbed her his new errand runner, insisting she fetch him yakisoba bread. Ranga and Yorl exchanged bewildered glances, questioning her intentions. Meanwhile, a young female adventurer declared that any tactic would suffice to take down the queen. Her leader, Eva, pointed out their inability to locate the target amidst the overwhelming numbers. She laid out their plan: lure the monster out and thin its ranks. A hand slammed onto the table, signaling that the strategy was finalized. The young adventurer vowed to assist Eva as soon as her new gear arrived. Ku beamed, stating they were adventurers too and would be happy to lend a hand. Another adventurer concurred, saying Ku's support was more than sufficient for their needs. Aoife turned to the young girl, declaring her to be their secret weapon. Determined, the girl resolved to train diligently while they were away, knowing her skills needed improvement. She announced that her group would soon set off to commence their mission. A peculiar message popped up, indicating her trump card skill was in the process of loading. Eagerly, she urged her trainer Gora to start, but he calmly advised her to take her time. A voice mentioned that the gear they had ordered should be arriving shortly. The scene shifted to a serene forest clearing, the chosen spot for training. Gura reached the training area, apologizing to the waiting adventurers for his tardiness. The young adventurer, clutching a simple stick, eagerly requested to start her training. Gura, wielding a staff, inquired if she was waiting for her new gear. Her eyes lit up with excitement as she expressed her joy at his question. In a burst of light, she dramatically unveiled her 2 tiny fairy-like companions. A close-up captured her hand, completing the intricate summoning gesture. Her boots thudded against the ground, signaling the end of her flashy reveal. Back at Ku's place, he asked his friends why they looked so glum. Darius pondered aloud if he wasn't the strongest now, being a noble of the highest order. Mario gently urged him to show some humility, while Ranga remarked he was just being himself. The merchant then turned to Ku, inquiring about his true feelings regarding everything. Ko averted his gaze, quietly beginning to articulate his current mindset. He repeated the question to himself, as if contemplating it for the first time. He confessed to his friends that he had never truly cared about his rank or adventures. Darius exclaimed that he was her complete opposite, but Ural quickly told her to hush. Ku explained that achieving A rank felt like he had finally completed the game. He experienced a deep sense of aimlessness, free yet uncertain of his next steps. Yurli was left speechless, utterly taken aback by his friend's revelation. Ranga and Darius were puzzled, questioning what motivation had to do with anything. Mario regarded Ko thoughtfully, a new idea beginning to take shape in his mind. He proposed that Ko should now strive for a rank within the commercial guild. Ko's eyes widened, the mention of commercial guilds igniting a spark of interest. Ranga eagerly concurred, reminding everyone of Ko's groundbreaking magic conducting Conraup. Mario then recalled the borehole Ko, trying to remember its name. He explained to a bewildered Ranga that it was a dish Ko prepared during the evacuation. Mario added that it had been a massive success, prompting Darius to suggest they should sell it. She declared decisively that it was settled. Ko would open a borehole shop. Ko could only stare, astonished by his friend's sudden and enthusiastic choice. World dryly noted that Darius would likely only assist at the very start. Ko sat there with a blank expression, stating he had no plans to help either. Oral looked at Ko in disbelief, shocked by his unusually straightforward refusal. A close-up revealed Ko's vacant, emotionless eyes, stripped of their usual spark. In the shadows, a question hung in the air. Why do you all look so bored? A new chapter unfolded, revealing the impressive exterior of a city structure. Later on, Darius joyfully dug into a generous serving of food. She raved about its taste, while Urel, now serving, scolded her for being lazy. Mario observed the long queue of patrons as Ural urged someone to stop snacking and get to work. A customer at the counter requested 2 boar bowls from a tired-looking server. Darius argued that if she worked, she'd have no time to relax, much to Ural's annoyance. Mario reminisced about the dish's popularity at the shelter, and Ko nodded in agreement. Amid the lively crowd, Mario marveled at the shop's remarkable success. He knew the dish was tasty, but the buzz had turned it into a sensation. Rung found it amusing that while business thrived, the labor was tougher than adventuring. Darius, still munching, agreed they were adventurers, not shopkeepers, as Ural shouted at her. A cow stirring a pot clarified he was merely the owner and had no intention of working there. Ranga thought that was a brilliant plan since Ko would still earn money. A familiar small voice suddenly called out, "Big brother," startling Ko. It was Liv, the little girl from the evacuation, here for 3 boar bowls. Ko and Liv exchanged cheerful hellos from across the restaurant counter. Liv's father proudly introduced his newborn son Ben to a puzzled Earl and Ranga. Mario warmly congratulated the new dad, saying a growing family is a beautiful thing. He gazed off thoughtfully, quietly resonating with his own words. Then he abruptly declared he was getting married too, shocking his friends. They all gathered around him, eager to know who the lucky bride was. Darius gasped in horror, asking if it was Maru, and a flustered Mario denied it. Liv told Ko it was incredible that he created such a delicious recipe. She inquired how he ever came up with something like the borbal. Ko looked away, vaguely mentioning he had heard of a similar dish. He thought to himself that it was actually known as a pork belly bowl. He momentarily lost his train of thought, pondering how to explain it to her. He started to speak, but faltered, leaving a puzzled Ural watching him. Finally, he mentioned it was from a world he once knew, as visions of modern Japan flashed. Ural stared, sensing the profound and untold story behind Ko's quiet remarks. Liv looked up at him, innocently asking about this world he once knew. Her parents interrupted, telling Ko to stop daydreaming as they had been waiting. They apologized for the interruption and waved goodbye as they exited the restaurant. Ko watched them leave, his expression distant and utterly unreadable. The scene shifted, a thought bubble questioning if Ko was acting oddly. At a table, World noted that Ko seemed preoccupied and lost in thought lately. Darius brushed it off as normal, but Ranga insisted something felt off. Ranga sensed that even though it seemed obvious, Ko was not himself. Darius rested her head on her hand, pondering what could possibly be bothering him. Ural observed, his expression serious and filled with quiet concern. Darius addressed the group, noting it was unusual for her to be the one to mention it. A shot of the restaurant sign appeared as Ko wondered what to do. He asked his friends why he was the only one being told to take a break. Mario explained that with Maru now assisting, they had more than enough help. Ko countered that it was his shop, and as the owner he couldn't just walk away. Ural smiled, telling him an owner was only needed for the essential tasks. He urged Ko to leave the shop to them and go celebrate his freedom. Ko stared ahead, his eyes wide with a sudden and profound uncertainty. Mario told him to come back tonight, as they had something important to discuss. As he strolls alone, Ko ponders what thoughts occupy his friends. He values their concern but feels adrift when urged to seize his freedom. A reflective sadness washes over him as he considers his future. Gazing at the city skyline, a sudden insight strikes him. A motorcycle wheel whirls wildly, sending dust and gravel flying. Kao races down the open road, his scarf billowing in the breeze. He revels in the joy of finally riding the bike he crafted. As he crests a hill, his face transforms into one of pure astonishment. He parks his bike at a cliff's edge, gazing at the expansive, shimmering ocean. He gazes at the sea, realizing this world mirrors his own. The ancient dragon's warning echoes in his mind, reminding him of his naivety. The dragon's command resonates. He must witness this world firsthand. With renewed determination, Ku stares out, reflecting on the divine being's message. He knows he could easily construct a boat and traverse the vast ocean ahead. The memory of the griffin resurfaces, perhaps answers await on that far-off shore. He questions his own reluctance, pondering if fear is what holds him back. It dawns on him that it's not fear, but something deeper that restrains him. In his thoughts, he envisions the faces of his friends, Mario, Ural, and others. A gentle expression crosses his face. He can't just abandon them. That night, back in his modern home, Ku quietly apologizes. Mario reassures him, sharing that the bauble shop had a fantastic day. Darius boasts that a family traveled from the capital just for his cuisine. Ko is taken aback by the news, and Mario confirms its truth. Whirl suggests that since Ko is new here, he should seek employment. He tells Ku they can discuss it tomorrow, leaving the choice up to him. Mario turns to Ku, his friendly demeanor shifting to seriousness. He mentions he has something significant to discuss, and Ku listens closely. Mario declares to everyone that he has made the decision to marry. He plans to leave Lindrunga this month to reside in the royal capital. Ku is visibly shocked, struggling to grasp the sudden life-changing news. He comments on how sudden this all feels, surprising his friends. Whirl clarifies that Mario and his fiancée made this choice 6 months ago. Ranga and Darius realize this explains Mario's reluctance to leave the capital. Ko remains quiet, still trying to comprehend the ramifications of this shift. Mario expresses that among everyone he's met, he cherishes this time with them the most. The group listens intently, understanding that Mario wishes to continue their shared life. As he speaks, Mario expresses his desire to keep collaborating with them. He turns to Ko, directly inviting him to join him in the capital. He clarifies that Ku can choose his path, but he wants him as a personal. Mario corrects himself, stating it's not as a guard, but something deeper. He wants Hao to accompany him simply as a friend, a true companion. Ku is left speechless, touched by the sincerity and depth of his friend's request. Mario notes that this means Ku would have to leave the home he built. Maru interrupts, calling out to Ko with a serious expression. He assures Ku that with Mario he will have a peaceful life. The promise of a lifetime of tranquility leaves Ku utterly astonished. Darius inquires when everyone will depart, while Ranga agrees it's a tempting offer. Kao asks Darius about her adventures or rank, but she no longer cares. She explains that a comfortable life now outweighs the need for advancement. She encourages Ku to join them, assuring him of a joyful life together. Ku's eyes grow large as the reality of his decision crashes down on him. Oral informs Ku that the others are leaving and inquires about his next move. He asserts that this is Ku's life, and he needs to carve out his own destiny. Ko stands in silence, caught between his fresh freedom and the fate of his friend.